Well, hello everybody, and as always, thank you very much for watching my video. Today I'm going to do a little analysis here of this Platoon picture that I've had for over at least 20 years. It's a pretty nice size picture. You can see my hands here. I think this is going to be a National Guard unit, maybe pre-World War One. Because so much equipment was made after World War One. I don't see why they would still be using this kind of stuff here. And what we see here are, I believe, three different styles of hats: the Span Am, the 1902-03 slouch hats, and of course the 1910 Montana Peak hats. The leggings are going to be mostly 1910 models, and I do see a wraparound 1907 model. The cartridge belts generally going to be the Russell and Mills 1903, 1905, and the suspenders look like they're all going to be. They look like they're all the 1903. There is a difference between 1907 and 1903s, but I think these are all 1903s. And of course, the uniforms are the real telltale antiqueness of this. These guys are wearing the 1902, 1903s uniforms. I almost want to say it's wool. They're the wool model. I have here a khaki, or what they call the cotton style, which I did show you guys a little bit in one of my videos of my pre-World War I equipment. In any case, I always found this one really cool because you don't see this particular time period in the Platoon or pictures like this. You see a lot of World War II, see a lot of World War Ones, before and after the wars. But this is really a really neat looking portrait here, and we're going to go ahead and analyze it and to see what we have. So let's first of all begin with the hats. Now the 1902 slouch hats is probably something most of you don't really know, and it looks a bit more like this. Okay, the term slouch hat is not new. In fact, the Australians in World War I were still using something they call these slouch hats. It's a very different color than this one. It's a little bit different, but it's basically a sort of like a shorter version of a Span Am. It's also kind of scrunchy, and we'll take a look at that picture right now, and I'll show you the differences, because the Span Am is much more bigger and square at the top like this, and so it's much bigger. This is slouch because I don't know, somebody did that to it. I don't know, but this is a nice little representation of what it would look like. And now let's take a good look at something that I believe is a slouch hat. That guy right there would be wearing a slouch hat. The guy next to him here, this guy here, looks like he was trying to reform his hat to look like the Montana Peak hat. This guy here looks like he's wearing a Montana Peak hat, but it's not really pointy. So you can see massive difference between these two here, right? You can see a real huge difference. Now, I have this book here. It's a really nice book. Take a look at that, and we're going to take a look at the top of a Montana Peak hat. So take a look at that, Montana Peak. It's got the 4 squares, or 4 triangles. Okay, it's something you would see. And here is a picture of a National Guard unit that actually went after Pancho Villa, and they're wearing hodgepodge stuff too. Look at those. Look at these two guys on the bottom. Montana Peak on the right, slouch hat on the left. Again, mostly slouch hats on top with those 03, 05 cartridge belts. Okay, so very distinct. Here's another Montana Peak style hat. Some Montana Peaks were a bit roundish on top. Some of them were quite pointy on top, as you can see this picture here. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some of these guys here. The one guy I think has a Span Am hat is this guy right here, because you can see it's not slouchy like this one, and it certainly isn't round or pointy like this one. So it's quite different. I think that it's going to be what I would consider to be a Span Am hat. Okay, more square, Just go ahead and look that up. And all these guys are wearing a hodgepodge of Montana Peaks and slouch hats, 1902, 1903s. Okay, they're all wearing the same style stuff right there. Funny how you can still see a kid in here. It's like, I wonder who that kid was. What are you doing there? Interesting, huh? Alright, so those are the hats. I gave you the names. You can look those up on the internet. You can find out more about those particular style hats. In any case, take a look at these leggings. These are the 1910 models, and you would see them at the beginning of the war in Europe when the Americans first arrived there, before they went to the putties or the leg wraps. Back here, you can see this guy right back there with the 1907 wraparounds. This guy here, I keep thinking he's wearing putties. I don't know. Sometimes I think he's wearing putties. Sometimes my brain plays, or my eyes play tricks on me. I can't tell what he's actually wearing. This guy in the background here, he's also wearing, these two guys here are also wearing the 1907 leg wraps, or wraparounds. Alright, so that's pretty interesting, kind of cool. Now, let's take a look at the cartridge belts. Okay, so the cartridge belts, I also did a little video on them before. Okay, so you can tell that these are most certainly not World War I style belts. You can see that. You see, these are pre-World War I, pre-Pancho Villa era, actually. Pre-1910, how about that? That's more professionally said. In any case, look at the suspenders. Okay, let's take a look at the suspenders here. See how wide they are? See how wide they are here, and then narrow? Because you see a sort of a metallic piece there. Now I think I've got reproductions, originals of these, but in any case, they're buried somewhere. And I wanted to show you this book here. Again, if you're a collector, this is a really nice book, but it is in black and white, and there's some stuff that is quite difficult to find, but here we go. You see how wide that was on one side, and then narrow. There's a couple of different versions of the 1907s, and that would go around the back end of the belt. These would go around the front, and these are the 1907s, where they're actually individual pieces like this, and they loop through this part here. So you've got another independent piece here, and they're held together in the back by literally just a piece of metal, like a clip, and they have mobility through this little clip here. So they're not like stapled on together. Now, one of the things that they did do was, as you can see these little hooks, there was another model. Let me see if I can find it real easy. Oh, right here. We just saw this sort of V that would loop in the front or connect to the front, left and right side of the ammo pouch. But if the soldier was too tall, they did have a version where it had a hole here, and you could actually pull one of these long, or pull the front, this one here, longer, while this one got shorter, and it clipped onto a hole here. That way this particular piece, instead of it being two, it now became one for the giraffe of the unit, I guess, the giraffe guy of the unit. But in any case, little unique suspension there. I think I have an original one or some repros of it. I think I want to say that What Price Glory has those, if you do decide to ever put it together as impression. But here are all these guys. They look like they're all wearing that same type of cartridge belt. Cartridge belt and suspenders, 1903. See, he's got one coming under his arm, and one in the front. And all these guys do seem to be wearing that same style of suspenders and cartridge belt. Now that we talked about the leggings, cartridge belt, suspenders, the hats, now let's take a look at something that's really neat, which is the uniform. Let's take a look at, first of all, this guy in the background. If any of you know about medals, you can be my new BFF, because I do not know what medals this guy has. Obviously, there's going to be a marksman there, because that's a very standard rifle medal once you qualify with whatever rifle you've got. But for those of you who know anything about medals, it would be really great to know what the heck he's got. And as far as uniforms, look at that folding collar that this guy has. This guy doesn't look like he has a folding collar. He also has bellowed pockets. This guy does not. So this is telling me that this is a World War I style tunic, 1910 or the 1912 style. And this guy is wearing the 1902, 1903 style. So is this guy. Most of these guys are wearing this uniform, where you see a folding collar and bellowed pockets, which is this uniform here that I showed you in another video. So you've got a folding collar and bellowed pockets. This looks a little bit like a Marine, World War I, or pre-World War I also, but it's not. This is an infantry, 1902, 1903 style. It also has 2 collar discs on either side instead of the just one by the World War I era. This, of course, like I said, is a summer tunic, which is a cotton drill or cotton twill. It's still pretty thick. It's kind of a thick, and you see all the lines on it. This is not herringbone. Okay, it's not herringbone. Remember, it goes in a zigzag manner like the World War II. And so these guys are all pretty much just wearing 2 collar, a folding collar, and bellow pocket. Look at the big old bellow pockets right there. So not really sure what this unit is, but if you like all this kind of stuff, I figured maybe somebody out there is interested in it, just like me, and you like to see all these old pictures. It'd be nice to make a reprint of this and give it out somewhere. But in any case, I've never taken it out of the frame, and I'm not sure if I ever will. And well, if you guys like what you saw my video, I hope I can make more stuff like this. And for all of you history buffs, reenactors, and just people interested in this old antique stuff here. Alrighty, thank you again, and we'll see you in another video.